We have a major New York Jets free agency update as multiple people are calling for the New York Jets to sign Justin Fields, a former teammate of Garrett Wilson back in college, while also Jamien Sherwood has revealed plans and what he wants to do in free agency, and we're going to break this all down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris and Matt here, and if you guys like the content, make sure to subscribe. It helps us out a ton. 19% of our viewers are subscribed right now as Matt looks up at it. So, just subscribe, guys. But we're going to jump right into things as we usually do because the New York Post discussed how Justin Fields makes perfect sense for being the QB of the Jets next season, and this has Jets fans very split, as some Jets fans love the idea of Justin Fields like this person. However, in his comments, we saw people basically say, don't speak for all Jets fans. Let's continue to be a losing organization with another quarterback who can't throw properly. There's a lot of different opinions going on with the New York Jets and what they should do in free agency, whether they should keep Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and try to win for another year, whether they should start the rebuild. And if you sign Justin Fields, you kind of are signing the note of we're rebuilding and Justin Fields is our quarterback for now, while we probably find a longer-term option. However, Justin Fields is teammates with Garrett Wilson, so even if the rebuild does begin, maybe there's hope that Wilson would stick around after all to play with his old buddy Justin Fields. And, I mean, we're just going to have to dive into all that, honestly, Matt, but also just looking at Justin Fields' numbers, he's really played in 6 games, or he's started 6 games, 4-2 record with the Steelers, who are a very, very good team. He threw for 1,106 yards and 5 touchdowns with 1 interception, so he looked pretty solid when he was out there statistically. This would be a very interesting move to see the New York Jets sign Justin Fields. And Matt, I'm curious what you think about this. Is this a good idea for the New York Jets, obviously assuming that Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams are not on the Jets next season?
Nope, absolutely. This is not a good idea. Why would the New York Jets want to pick up a quarterback who's already been a bust in the NFL? Was picked in the first round by the Chicago Bears. One of his problems coming out of Ohio State was he couldn't throw the ball with anticipation, so he wasn't able to throw the ball before guys came open. He needed to see them get open before he let the ball fly, and that he wasn't able to improve that in the NFL, and it led to him being moved on by the Chicago Bears. He led the Steelers to 4-2, and they still wanted to bench him. He averaged this year 184.33 yards per game passing. That's not impressive. The fantasy points are really good if that's what you care about as a New York Jets fan, which you definitely shouldn't, because don't care about fantasy scoring. I want to see real life wins. Justin Fields does not lead to real life wins. He was able to do it on the Steelers because, like you said, they're really, really well coached. Russell Wilson, we saw him terrible last year, but somehow he plays really well for the Steelers. The Steelers are the opposite of the Jets. Players come in, they join the Steelers, and they just start playing really, really well. That's what real coaching does to the team. That's why finding a coach first is the most important thing for the New York Jets organization at this moment. Justin Fields, signing a quarterback out of free agency is never cheap. So he's just he's not going to be the answer. He hasn't proven anything in the NFL. I understand the rushing plays are really exciting to watch, and they're really fun to watch, but he can't throw the ball. To win Super Bowls, you need to be an elite passer of the football, which Justin Fields hasn't been. We always talk about, with some of the Knicks players, we talk about how when you're a young player with a lot of talent, you want to see their talent keep increasing and keep going up. And if you're gonna make like a chart, as they get older, they get older, and you want to see the talent get higher. So you want the chart to stay on a nice steady incline. But Justin Fields doesn't improve on a nice steady incline. So I can't understand why anyone associated with the New York Jets would look at Justin Fields and say that's the guy for the organization, because he hasn't been able to be the answer for 2 other organizations. Why would he be the answer for us?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun option if the Jets are going to lose a bunch of games next season regardless. I don't really see that there's much more potential that he's ever going to be someone better than he is today. Especially with the New York Jets, a team that's been perennially bad. You can't imagine Justin Fields is going to come in where he would have to be heavily coached to be at his best and join a New York Jets team and then instantly turn it around. I mean, I understand why fans are interested in him, and I get that it's fun, and that if it keeps Garrett Wilson in a Jets jersey for an extra year and no other guy outside of Rodgers will, even if Rodgers can, then I don't mind it because you got to do anything to protect your franchise player. But outside of that, I mean, I'm not too interested in Justin Fields. The problem is the Jets are going to have to find a bridge quarterback one way or another before next year's draft if they don't draft a quarterback this year. So when you look at the guys available, Sam Darnold's probably going to return to the Vikings. Obviously, you've already discussed J.J. McCarthy. There's Jameis Winston. Like, he'd be somewhat fun also. There's just not a lot of options in a general sense to be the Jets quarterback next year. Obviously, Jordan Travis is one for the person who's already commented on Jordan Travis being an option. Yes, Jordan Travis is an option for next season. And honestly, if they sign Justin Fields or someone of that caliber or Jameis Winston, then yeah, there should be a quarterback battle to see who should be QB1 between Travis and that free agent. And I'm fine with either outcome because I don't think either guy is going to be the longtime Jets quarterback. It just doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
They got to make sure if they sign a free agent quarterback, they got to make sure it's only for 1 year. So we can, of course, move off them after that. It's not going to be a prove-it deal because Jameis Winston, Justin Fields, maybe not Justin Fields, but definitely Jameis Winston, we know he's not the answer long-term. He could be a fun option. He could be like pretty solid. I saw a report today. People were saying Carson Wentz is league executives' pick to be the next Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield type breakout. I'm not with that. I definitely don't want Carson Wentz. So, I mean, if you can sign Justin Fields to 1 season, and as long as it's guaranteed for that season and no guarantees in 2026, why not? Jordan Travis, like you said, he's an option. No reason not to play him because like we've gone over, there's no option that people are looking at and be like, wow, that's a really good quarterback. And he's available because there are no really good quarterbacks available. The best quarterback available, Sam Darnold. He's not coming back to the New York Jets. We would probably find another way to ruin him, unfortunately. But
yeah, I mean, most likely that is what would happen. And it's unfortunate, but that is the world that we do live in right now as Jets fans, where we'll see what happens, obviously, with Justin Fields and with the New York Jets. It's going to be interesting. I will say that. Like, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. A lot of things impact the future for the New York Jets, and who their quarterback is going to be next year gives you a good look into things, though. It just feels very likely they'll be drafting one in 2026 regardless of the way things are going, unless they draft one this year. Now, Justin Fields, is the best thing about his game is the fact that he's like a dual threat quarterback, but he's a way better rusher than he is a passer. So, look, it'd be a fun option. Led the league in yards per attempt. Came in 9th for MVP voting that season. That's great. But, like, it's not compelling, obviously. It's just fun. And fun is great and all, but I don't think Justin Fields is even going to sign with the Jets, personally. I just don't think he's going to. I just don't see it happening. I don't see a world where it happens. I get the idea behind it. He's young. He's fun. What if he breaks out? Guess what? He's not going to. Not on the New York Jets. They don't have enough structure for a guy like Justin Fields to break out. Now, with free agency, though, there's more than just Justin Fields out there. And one of them is Jamien Sherwood, who told Jake Asman that his preference in free agency would be to re-sign with the New York Jets this offseason, but he can only control what he can control. Now, Jamien Sherwood has been very, very solid for the New York Jets thus far with the team. I like the way that Sherwood has been playing for them this year. He has 95 solo tackles, 2 sacks. He forced a fumble in his career in the past. He's been a solid player for the New York Jets this season. I do hope the Jets re-sign him, especially on a rebuilding team. There's no reason why to not keep a young linebacker who could really play either the middle or the outside position pretty well enough to be a starter in the NFL. And I see no reason to not bring him back. I don't think he'd be an expensive pickup. I think it makes all the sense in the world to bring a guy who wants to be back and is young to bring him back to the team.
So he has taken over the role of C.J. Mosley, who has been injured for most of the year. He's been the middle linebacker for us, racking up a ton of tackles. You have to want him back because we've gone over the contract of C.J. Mosley and how his Jets career is likely over. So we're going to need a leader in the middle of the defense. We've, in the past, very recent past, we've had really good tacklers like Demario Davis and then C.J. Mosley. I would love to keep the trend going, keep the tradition of the great tackling Jets middle linebacker started by maybe David Harris back when we were in the playoffs 14 years ago. But Jamien Sherwood is definitely not a guy you want to let walk because you don't want to let homegrown talented guys walk. That's, every drafter's dream, is to see the draft picks that you make or the free agent acquisitions, the undrafted free agent acquisitions grow up and blossom into star players on your team. We were really scared when we saw CJ Mosley getting hurt this year, but Jamien Sherwood filled in so well. He really did. He was able to make just so many great tackles. I know we're just tackling. There's a lot more to linebacker than just tackling, but to me, that's the number one thing that Jamien Sherwood does, and that's the number one thing that CJ Mosley did, because I would always say when CJ Mosley got his hands on you, the play was over. Always. Like, no one broke tackles of him, and it was great to see. That's why CJ Mosley every single year was a top 5 guy in sacks in the league. Demario Davis did the same thing, even though he's on the Saints now. Still great tacklers. We have had a ton of struggles tackling this season. Jamien Sherwood, not a guy I want to see him walk out the door. Seeing that he wants to come back to the Jets, you have to imagine he's not going to be too expensive. And for whatever his price is, I would really like to see Jamien Sherwood in a Jets jersey in 2025.
I think we will. I think it's a no-brainer to bring him back, and I think the Jets are going to find a way to bring him back, so it won't be that hard, especially because then it covers your middle linebacker position for multiple years to come. You don't think about that. Obviously, the outside, there's more questions about who's going to be playing those roles in the next season. Quinnen Williams will be there, most likely, but you have the other one in question. The Jets have enough holes to fill in the draft, and with the draft full of defensive studs, it makes sense to bring back a sure thing in Jamien Sherwood. I feel like it's just, there's no reason to not want him back, in my opinion. I think that he's just the perfect option for the Jets at middle linebacker. You get him to a nice 3-year deal that's not that expensive. You have a really good thing going at linebacker. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how the Jets tackle that, because they play with 3 linebackers on the field. It's really interesting to see who that third guy's going to be.
So recently the New York Jets have done well with finding linebackers like Jamien Sherwood, like Quinnen Williams, guys who were discarded by other teams or not highly thought of in the draft, and turn them into stars. So like you, I am excited to see who the last linebacker would be. There are some good ones in the draft, but I would prefer to spend those early picks somewhere else instead of at linebacker, because the Jets have more important needs than linebacker. Also, the elite prospects in this draft are edges, defensive tackles, which we need desperately. And then there's one elite safety and a couple really good corners. So that's where we're going to go ahead with the first round pick. Should we go defense? You never know what Woody Johnson's going to do. You know he wants to make the biggest splash, and we all know quarterback is the biggest splash. Then it would be wide receiver. Maybe he won't. What's scary is I feel like he wants to pick Ashton Genty, which would be so bad. That would be so bad. Please, whoever the GM is has to take control over Woody Johnson. He has to be willing to stand up to Woody Johnson to tell him no, tell him stay out of the locker room, and that might get the GM fired. But at some point, you got to do the job right, even if it risks your job. Hopefully the GM can handle it. Hopefully Woody Johnson gets his greasy little fingers off that locker room and off the team decisions.
Well, I mean, it depends on if there's any news about Madden ratings before the draft. Honestly, I think that'll have a huge impact on it.
So someone called me off guard. He said today, we're not going to trade for JJ McCarthy because his Madden rating is only 72, and I actually laughed at that. That was a really funny comment.
I mean, that makes sense, especially because if you do something and say no to Woody Johnson, Brick might show up with a hand grenade. So you got to be aware of that. Guys, let us know what you think down below. Do you want Justin Fields? I will post a poll. So yes, no. You'll see that on Jets Digest. Also, comment down below. Let us know about Jamien Sherwood. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Jets.